Welcome back to the Fuel Show. I'm Dennis Pitzenbarger, and once again, we're in the pits, and want to welcome Rob Arnold to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dennis.
All right. Well, now, we've spent a couple times here at IPD. We've met Richard, the owner. We spent some time with Chris and Sean, the two kind of heads of their departments within the, I guess you would call it the install part of the show. But there's a real inner workings to IPD, and one of the things that you guys do here is develop your own parts, and that's kind of where you come in. Tell us a little bit about what you do here.
Well, I've been with IPD for about 2.5 years now, and I do the design and development of a lot of our new and exclusive products for both the Volvo and the Subaru model lines.
Okay, now you told us a little bit about your history before working here at IPD, and I think that's very important because it lends itself to how these products can be applied to the real world.
Well, I had really humble beginnings when I started out. Started out as a service tech in an independent shop, moved my way up through the dealerships and obtained master level training there, and was able to bring that training when I came here to IPD when they called me to help them design, develop, and do some research regarding what parts we thought would really do well in the Volvo and the Subaru market now.
Yeah, and I think that really lends itself to kind of the conceptual side of a design studio, or in itself, what's coming out of your mind, because to have an idea and then also apply it to the real world has a lot to do with how it actually works. And I think that kind of lends itself with all the training that you had.
Absolutely. You'll find that some of those lessons learned in the shop with busted knuckles and scraped up fingers really translates over to when you develop those parts and thinking about how the real world applications are going to respond to your design ideas.
Going on to the next part of what you do here, it really comes to the products. And one of the things I want to focus on today is the skid plates that you have for all the different types of vehicles that you have available. Tell us how you come about developing those skid plates for both Subarus and basically just about any product out there.
Well, the original skid plate design we came with was when we had some customers that had some oil pan damage, and on the Volvos being a cast aluminum pan, it's an expensive part and a fairly complex repair procedure, so there's some great costs involved. So a simple skid plate can be an easy investment to save your ride. The skid plates that we use, we typically design off of the factory mounting points where the undercarriage of the vehicle already has some pretty strong provisions for us to bolt to. So the design aspect on at least the Volvo side has really become pretty easy for us in some respect. We haven't taken too many shots on the chops. There's a lot of benefits we found from the skid plates we design in areas we never expected to see it. To some degree, we find that cooling through the engine compartment is increased because we've capped off the lower chassis, so the airflow can't just hit the engine and go out the bottom. It has to travel all the way through that engine. We found certain amounts of chassis stiffening as well, because you've got this large plate at the bottom that's fixed at various points. It helps to stiffen the chassis.
You said that was actually some really good mounting points. It isn't just a little tab, but they've kind of maybe a second idea or an add-on at the end.
Indeed. We go right to the factory bolted and drilled mounting points that we can use. So we'll take fasteners that go right in and really lock them down solid.
Yeah, and I think that, again, goes back to the idea that Subaru and Volvo as well both build a great vehicle anyway.
Indeed.
It's just how much can you add to it to make it that much better. Now, you've done a lot of different ideas. The computer behind you had some ideas as far as everything from gear knobs or things like cam gears. You've done a lot of different ideas. It really doesn't just hold it at skid plates.
No, certainly not. We've done parts from stem to stern on these vehicles. Again, from the skid plates to our adjustable cam gears. We've done some shift knob development, all kinds of intake systems, exhaust systems, brackets for our sway bars and mounting systems like that.
Now, what would you say is probably the most involved piece that you get into? Is it the internal pieces like those motor, like an adjustable cam gear, or is it really the idea of coming up with something that fits within the factory mounting bolts like we talked about with the skid plates? What's more involved, or what might be more exciting to you?
Well, I always have fun with the performance side. I'm pretty much a performance geek, have been since I was big enough to pick up the wrenches. But I find myself really trying to get out of what I desire for myself personally and really focus on what is our customers looking for, what's going to service their needs, what are they going to be happy with.
Yeah, and we talked about that off the air. You know, we can sit and, between the two of us, we could talk about fuel injection mapping and have the people would tune off the show just like that. I mean, it is more of that lifestyle thing. Now, do you do some of the design on the interior of the vehicles as well, like some of the internal pieces that you guys develop?
We have done a little bit of design in-house for selected pieces of the car. Each piece is a little bit different. Some of it will go outside and we'll get input from other types of businesses that can help give us feelings on design styling, colors, textures, things like that.
Yeah. Now, you talked a little bit about 3D mapping and 3D design as far as building I guess what you would call a preliminary piece or maybe a prototype piece. You guys are using some real state-of-the-art technology. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when we go into production, it's very expensive to make just a single piece to test. Manufacturers have to tool up, set up their machines, build this one piece, and then tear it all down to do another one. So to make a single unit can be very costly. So lately, in the last probably say 5 years, we found that three-dimensional printing has come to be very cost-effective. And three-dimensional printing, for those that may not be familiar with it, lays down a layer of plastic one by one and builds up the piece until you have an actual three-dimensional mocked-up piece made of plastic that represents your design. Then you can take that, test it for spatial fit, make sure dimensioning tolerances are correct, that it'll bolt up, and all those types of things.
And I think that kind of goes back to what we talked about, what is a conceptual idea doesn't always fit when you go to the car. And, the thing that I kind of came up with in my mind is when you see that, I hate to be a movie geek, but if everybody's seen Face Off, when they build those little fake ears for those guys, it's almost like that. If you see that, that's about the only visual I can think of where you see the laser actually building it layer by layer. It's really interesting to look at those pieces. Now, getting into some of the more advanced stuff, is there a direction that you guys are going towards? Is there a goal that you're looking for, or are you spending the wee hours of the morning trying to find that next great idea?
Well, we're always looking for the next hottest trend. Where's the market going next? What are our customers looking for? Ultimately, we really want to just make our customers happy with the products that we develop and hopefully do really well in solving their needs. But the next trends that we're looking for really do focus on fuel economy, moving into hybrids, looking at hydrogen as an alternative fuel source, all types of things like that, even working with E85 as that's becoming more prevalent in the market.
Yeah, and I think that's really a hot button right now is where fuel, both from a design standpoint of the management system, but also just where are these fuels going to come from? Who is going to really break through? We've had a lot of talk about diesel, hybrid. You hear that a lot in the marketplace. It's just who's going to break through. And I think it's interesting you guys are already kind of looking forward. I think that's what shows your company being a forward-looking company as far as knowing that the future is out there and you can't just sit back and see if you can make your Webers run more efficiently on your B20. So I really appreciate you coming by. I mean, again, thanks for coming by and investing a little time. And once again, that's In the Pits with Dennis Pitzenbarger, and you're watching The Fuel Show.